Welcome to Top of the World. I'm Simon. We are still on the Audi. This is an A6, S6, B4, C5 with a 4.2 litre V8 ARS engine. And today we are cracking into the timing. Okay, let me just explain my theory here. I've removed the tensioner on the hydraulic there, and I've loosened the manual tensioner on this side. But something that slightly bothers me is you can put the belt back on and you can do all the tensioners up, but if the teeth on the belt don't align with the teeth on the cogs in the same way in the same place, everything's still going to be out of timing. So you can't just take the belt off and slap it on, because if the teeth are different, right, and even that's tight there, right, really tight. How do you get it that tight? So if the teeth are different, right, they're not going to align up. And is that why these green marks here no longer line up to their mark that they were originally? Is it because somebody did what I did and they just happened to touch that, or is that green line actually one tooth out, which makes both cams one tooth out from the crank, right, which is really easy to do if the belt isn't taut. You know, this is really tight. Well, how do you get that tight between the two cams? Because there's no manual tensioner here, none, and you can't take that wheel off. It comes off with a water pump. So how do you get that tight? So this is my future self, to help anybody understand that's really interested in this and to put the record straight. At this point, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I've got no book, remember? And nobody I know, or nobody I can talk to, has ever worked on an ARS, right? There's plenty of people who worked on these engines, but the later ones, or a different make, a bit different model, not this one. But what I did know was those two cogs on the end of the cams, right, absolutely do not have a keyway or a wood rough, and I knew that. So whilst I'm trying to work all this out when I put the timing belt back on, right, which is what I can tell you now, I still couldn't work out how you got an even tension all the way around, even though I'd pre-marked the belt and got it into place. Well, what you do is those shaped bits to which the timing tool fit onto, there are what are locked onto the cams. So once your crank is in top dead centre and that bar is in those two metal pieces, that is your top dead centre. Don't matter where the wheels are, it has no relevance. So what you have to do is get a puller, pop those wheels off because they're on a cone, so they're held in place by pressure, put it all back on loose, put your cams back into place and put your timing tool back on, because those things are locked onto the end of the cam. So once your crank bolt is in at top dead centre and that bar is in and fitted properly, that's your timing set. Doesn't matter where the wheels are. So when you put the belt back on and you do the manual tension and the hydraulic tensioner, you get even tension all the way around. You can't turn the cams because the cam locking tool is on, which is why those holes are in the end over the bolts, and then you can torque those bolts back down, pushes those wheels onto the cams, locks everything with even tension. And that's why at this point I don't know that, because I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's how you do it. That's how you set the time in on an ARS with the crank locking tool in and the cam bar on. It's irrelevant where those wheels go. And I knew they didn't have, categorically didn't have a keyway or wood rough in. So the guy that told me they absolutely do, because he's done hundreds of these, I don't doubt that at all. I don't. You haven't worked on an ARS, because if you had, you'd have been able to tell me there's no wood rough on there, and that's how you do it, by popping the wheels off loose and you'll get even pressure on your timing belt. Instead, you told me they absolutely do have them in. Well, I knew they didn't. So I popped the wheels off. Shame I didn't film it, because I could have explained all this at the time, but I needed to set the timing and I just needed to focus on what I was doing, because I was about to pop the wheel off of one of the cams without really knowing what I was doing, but having a good idea how they were held together on pressure, and that those butterfly shaped things are what is actually locked onto the cam by their shape. So they fit onto the end of the cams and your timing is set. So in order to get your pressure even once you put the new belt on, that's how you do it. And then if they're slightly out, now bearing in mind these are loose, right? But if these two cams are slightly out when you put the belt on, then you decide to tighten them up without the locking bar being in, you can easily end up one tooth out on your timing. Quite easily. Oh no, that's snapped off. There you go. Right, that's the first one snapped off in the head. That's snapped off in the block. That has. Fuck. No. I was so fearful of that, that's what it felt like. It felt like that's what they wanted to do. And that one. That one feels like it's going to snap off too. So this is going to be another, not just a simple... No. They just feel like they're going to snap off in there. Oh. There's another one. Number 2. Snapped off in the head of the engine. Into the block, should I say. Wow. Okay, this is going to be so much fun. I'm pretty sure this is going to be number 3. There you go. That's the third one snapped. 3 snapped ones. Well, here lies the next issue. You can see how long that is. Right, you can see where they've snapped. So we've got 1 inch of thread inside the block. It's going to be a party. Okay. You got that one there snapped off, that one there snapped off, and that one's flush. Look. Oh, there's an hour or more just to get them out. Okay, let me show you what I managed to get my hands on. So that is a full unbroken bolt, screw, thread. So I've got these which are really for extracting screws with damaged heads, but it's more than I had. And I've got these, right, the idea of these is that you drill a pilot hole and then punch these in and then you turn them and extract them that way. Never used them before, but I can understand the principle of how they work. And then because I only had 1 drill bit, I bought another 3 of the right size, and that's what I've got. And I've been soaking them down now for 24 hours. Every few hours I've gone out there and sprayed some more, and I've also blown it in with compressed air. So with this one, well, we'll talk about that bit of damage there, which should never have happened. I run a pilot drill through there and I run a drill bit, and I'm very aware of the length that I've got to go through, and I can't go any further. And I'm also really aware, having done it many times before, not to snap the drill bit off in there. So I was going easy all the way through, and just as the drill bit broke out the end of the bolt, it snapped off, right in the bottom there. That is the worst possible scenario. Can I get it out? No. And as I snapped it off, obviously I slipped, and the bit that didn't snap then hit that. So, bad, bad, bad and bad. Have I constantly soaked these down? Yes. So we're going to have a little go with some of these things to see if I can't ease that one out. We can't put heat in here, right, an open source of heat. Right, just not going to put heat in there, any kind of open source. So we're not doing that. So the first thing I'm going to try is that it? Or is that something else breaking? No, it's just going to strip. Yeah. Right, that didn't work. Okay. I want to see if I can't get you in there to show you the catastrophic mess I'm in. Right, I've drilled out the hole and I've exposed the snapped end of the drill bit. Right, you can see the drill bit in the bottom of that hole. I can't go any deeper because the drill bit's there. And you can see where if I had something of the right tool, I could probably get in there and grab it. So I was wondering if the little hair clip tool that I made up to remove the electrical connectors could disappear in there and grab that broken bit of drill bit out. It's a long shot. Here's a long shot. What I do know is I've tried, I don't know, let's say 25, 30 times in my life to weld a nut on the end of a bolt like that to get it undone. Never on anything like this, right? On other vehicles, machinery, heavy machinery, other things. Has it ever worked? Never. Never, never. I have never done it and it been successful. I've seen other people do it. I've been with a man and watched him do it and it worked. Me personally, I've never done it. And I don't think this is the right situation in which to do it and it would work. So I've done the right thing and got the welder out. Now, just to make sure it fails in every single way, right, we're working on a completely metric car. Everything about this is in millimetres. So what I've done, right, deliberately, I got some 9/16 nuts and I got a 9/16 socket because I don't want to hammer a 14mm on it. And I'm hoping the 9/16 nut and the welder, right, and the 9/16 socket is going to fucking shock it. And they're going to come out. Right, probably not. I can't get the socket on it. Am I rocking it? Well, there you go. just cleanly snapped off right at the... Now what I've got is another one that snapped off. So, as well as being amateur hour, right, it's just completely sheared off the same as the other one. They're not coming out. As I suspected. Wasn't going to work. I had to try it, but I knew it wouldn't work. Never works. So I got that one like that, with the drill bit snapped off in there. I can't drill out that one. That one's now sheared off flush, and that one's sticking out. And I'm at the end of the day too with it. So, yeah. I'm seeing this, I'm imagining this as a new sea washing machine, I am. This. Because that's where it's going. Okay, I've exhausted all the other doodads and all the different ways that it could possibly be done, and I went back to the way I know. Has that worked 100% of the time every time I've done it? Yes. Has that worked this time? Yes. 1, 2, 3. Do they all go in there? Oh yeah. They all screw in. All screw in nicely. Right then, they're the 3 bolts that were snapped off. They're the 3 bolts that are now in there. Right, did you get that drill bit out of the bottom of that hole? No, I can't. Right, can't get the drill bit out of the bottom of that hole. That does mean that bolt is going to be slightly shorter than the rest of them. Right, well, sad. That's the way it's going to be. So I wish I'd just done that in the first place. Have I ever had steel bolts stuck in an aluminium block? Not that I know of. No, I'm sure I've said that. Anyway, worked the same way, drilled them out, retapped them. I haven't put the water pump on now. My word. Right, progress has been made. We've got the thermostat housing off. And we've got the water pump off. All that's cleaned up, drilled out, retapped, ready to put a new thermostat in there and put the water pump back on. Now we are short of bolts for the water pump, so we're going to have to go and find some other ones because we ain't going to get the originals. Correctly marked on that cam wheel, correctly marked on that cam wheel, really tight in between. So what I did was I got that one on first, I put the tool in, I moved that crank to get this all lined up with this one. Getting the getting the crank lined up was easy because I've still got play in this tensioner and this tensioner, which we're about to do up. So we'll do the manual one first. I'm hoping this will work for the manual one. Yes, it does. No, don't do that, because you're... How do I get it to stay there? Hold this, I suppose. At the same time I'm doing it up. Stay. You know, this thing below me is taken a couple of whacks already. This... Okay, that's that one done up. At that point we should be able to pull this pin. That hasn't made any difference. No? Okay. That's already... I cranked the engine over many times. We're all good. I've set all the tensioners. The bar is still locked. The cam is now the crank is now unlocked and the plug is back in, and I've put the housing on for the serpentine belts, put the engine mount back on. I think now I'm ready to take the bar off and put the timing belt covers on, and then we can put on the main crank wheel, the serpentine wheel, and then we can put the fan back on. And then once we've got the fan back on, then I can torque down the coil packs and connect them all back up. And then really we're back into the fan housing. However, I got these on order. So I think before I start all that, I'll start soaking these down and getting this off. Ready for the new parts to arrive. So let's see if we can't get this looking a bit more like it should do. The timing covers back on and the serpentine belt on. All right, some interesting things to note as we're going back together. Now, I had no idea how that serpentine belt went, none, because when the alternator seized, the belt burnt off and I never saw. Right, that is how that goes. Are there any technicians out there, videos that show that? No, they all show for a different engine. Now, I did say this in the last video. This engine model is an ARS, right? So I also said about there being no keyway or woodruff, whatever you want to call it, on the end of the cams for the wheels. Now, the bracket that fits into the timing bar, that has, right? But the wheels themselves do not, absolutely, categorically do not, 100% have a keyway, a woodruff, any shape to them whatsoever. They totally rely on pressure on a cone to hold them on, right? Absolute fact. Don't even need to take it off again to show anybody. If you undo the bolt, you can spin them on the end of the crank. And again, nothing on the serpentine belt because this is an ARS engine and there's nothing else like it. Like I said before in the previous video, I've seen one of these in a Volkswagen Touareg 2004. And I might have seen one in an A8. But all the videos, all the tutorials, all the information you can find online does not cover that ARS. And that is also one of the reasons I didn't buy the really expensive Bentley publications or download the download for however much you had to pay, because none of them covers the ARS. They don't. So, I don't know. But... so that's just how it is. I don't know. It's just different from the rest for whatever reason. But we've managed to get this far, right? Without a book, all the information we've managed to gather, we couldn't even find for the ARS, the timing marks. Apparently on they're supposed to be no, there's no dimples, there's no woodruff, there's no nothing on there except them old green marks which I'm just ignoring. So I put everything back the way it is. Now, if all this was hanging, of course, we could just start the engine and make sure it's gonna run. But I'm not gonna, because nothing's connected. So we're putting it back together on the assumption we know what we're doing, and it is only an assumption, but it's a good assumption. Is that light really annoying? Yeah. How cold is it? Stood here. Whew. It's just murder. The concrete's cold. I've got underfloor heating. Couple of questions. A couple of people have asked about this. That's because you're new here. Under me concrete slab, over in the corner. Ooh, shiny. Over in the corner. Here we go. Now we're totally reliant on this lot here. This is a heat exchanger here. This is an electrical element which I don't switch on. And this is my underfloor heating manifold, systems, pumps. And the water comes up from the furnace at 40 degrees, because that's all it's coming out at. It goes through there. Right, goes round down there. Another coil comes up. Cold water comes out here, and the hot water, that's the cold water return. The hot water then comes up here, through here, down there. Right, it's actually only exchanging temperature. This is how inefficient it is. Comes in at 40 degrees, comes out at 10 degrees. And then it's going to go down through all that manifold. So, and this only runs during the day, because I have to light it in the morning when I get out of bed, right? And then I can't keep it running all night unless it's really cold, and then we'll have to take shifts. So, like I said, this keeps this just above freezing when it starts getting cold. But once the slab has got heat in it, it stays in, I don't know what the air temperature is. Cold is what the air temperature is. Right, the air temperature there is 7 degrees. It's less there. And outside is, what are we under here? Minus 16. Minus 16. Wooden door, badly fitting. Dog with a limp. Inside, 7 degrees. So this whole slab is heated, but right, so, okay, we're getting somewhere now. We've got a long way in putting that back together. Let's do the coil packs and pipes and start cleaning up and go and see where these are. I'm not sure I can even remember how this all came off. Some of the old copper stuff. That's what we need. Get this up out the way. Because this has just been a scary thing the whole time it's been on the floor. So we're glad to see that back on. Alright. Okay, another cooler. How did that fit on there? Can I remember? Right. They clip into there. And then they screw onto there. Which don't look very good, as I recall. We think these screws need replacing because they're just rusty and no good. Well, it's nice to see the front end back on, but what a challenge. So obviously the build on this has attracted new subscribers, new viewers, and a huge shout out to everybody that's given advice in the comments, that's emailed direct to offer assistance or equipment. Quite surprised, very nice. What did I learn from all this? That the bottom hose weeps, right? Does the bottom hose fit very well? No, not really. No, I had it on and I had it off and I checked and rechecked and put it back on again, and I like the way that sits. Replacing the O-rings on the oil cooler lines. Another great tip. Are they an absolute difficult thing to get in? Oh yeah, and they only bolt up from one side. If they anyway, to try and so I hope I've got them in. I've got a bit of an issue. I got a wire or a kind of connector that I have no idea. I mean, it's clearly a connector. I'll give you a close-up view in a minute. I don't know where that goes. I'm perplexed on that one. It's looking more like a car again now. I've got to put all that air box and everything back in there. Have I found all the places to connect all the wiring to up in there? Mostly. There is a problem with the expansion tank, right? Absolute major problem. Can't get one of those. And I can't use the one I got. And I did get an alternative and all the pipes were in the wrong place. My brother says, oh yeah, I can get one. No, you can't. No, you can't get one of those. So that's an issue. My vacuum cups, they haven't arrived yet. Am I having any other issues? No, not as far as I know. That's it. Expansion tank's obviously a big one. We can't do the coolant system. I haven't got any fluids or oils for this yet. I've not bought any more than I have to up front because I just didn't know how it was all going to go. And whilst I have really quite good mechanical and engineering abilities, this is my first time on air and I have not, and I'm glad I didn't. Okay, there's a story. The Bentley publications on this vehicle. It's $150 or £130. It's a lot of money. Doesn't cover the engine. Doesn't cover the ARS. Right, so all of you that have been talking to me about different things, you're all familiar with the ART, right, or later engines. Not one of you has said anything about the ARS. This is an ARS. I keep saying it. It's different to all the rest. So, like the keyways on the not on here, not on here. Other things that are applicable, not on here. Why can I not get an expansion tank for this year? Oh, a couple of you asked about the backstory. Okay, let's talk about the origins of this particular Audi. Right, so what I know from the build sheets, from the documentation I've got, from the previous owner and the owner before that. This was one of 100. It was a block of 100 made, all the same spec. They were government ordered, issued cars for the German government. Which department? What? I don't know. But they're different. They're wildly different. I'm not sure how much thought Audi put into this block of 100. We don't know if they were experimental. So we're going to assume this is an S6 because it has S6 spec with an ARS engine. Okay? Not an ART. It's an ARS. And things that you find for this specific engine are still not the same as what is applicable to this engine. And I can't explain that. I don't know why. I don't know enough about all the little letters and doodads. Well, I do now because I've looked them up. Why this is so different to anything else. Anyway, we've done it without the book, which was just as well, because if I'd gone and spent that money and it still hadn't covered this engine, I'd have been mortified. We have kind of guessed on where we are. We know we're at top dead centre. right? And I put the timing back exactly as it came off. And as I'm sure I've explained, I read the spark plugs, which were perfect and old. So I'm pretty sure the timing's going to be about right. We know we've got the timing variant things on the front here where we've got to sort out. All the coolers are back on, new O-rings. Let me show you this. What I don't know what it is yet. This. And quite clearly that has come out of something. I don't know what. And we don't know where. But we do know that it's likely to fit back in within the length of the cable, right? So we haven't got to go looking any further than this corner. But I just don't know where that's come from. That is the bottom lights. That is the washer bottle. It's going to go back on with the bumper. And what else have we got? Yeah, this one here, which can't go any further than this. Oh, you can't even see it. Come on, Simon. Right, that must go... That must go right here somewhere, because obviously there's very limited cable on that. It looks like it went just there, but there must be another connection somewhere coming up to it. But I don't know where that is. That's for the lights. So we're pretty much there, and then there's a big hole over here because we've got to put the air box and all that malarkey back in. So we're good, and it didn't have to disconnect the air conditioning unit, and we've got that bottom cooler on there, and then we've got the combined cooler back in there. Bottom hose, right, top hose went in okay, considering. Bottom hose, now it's more difficult to fit because I fitted the other coolers. However, this is the connection here, and if we move that, I don't even know if you can see. Yeah, if we move that, right, that has a lot of play in it. A lot of play I don't like to see. We think that's very odd. Anyway, that is how it's supposed to be. It's all clicked in there, both sides, top and bottom. I don't know why it's got so much play in it. See that? So, did we lose the coolant out of there? Possibly. Possibly. Have we fixed the wiring in there? Yes. Hey, how are you doing? Are you waiting for your ball? What's that down there? Okay, so that is all the airbox, components, pipes, everything to do with this side is now on. The cable that I've got down there, this is for the small lights at the front, and this one is for the headlights. So we're good there. All this is connected back up. Now I've got a plan. So the next thing for me to do is connect the water system. Right, and what are we missing from that? We're missing the expansion tank. Okay. Here lies the problem. This is an obsolete part. Now, I did get another one sent that said it matched this part number. It doesn't. All the pipes are in the wrong place. And it has 3 pipes. 1, 2, 3. And these were all somewhere else. And the water pipe on the car, the rubber pipe, it's all preformed stuff. So, could I make other pipes and fit the other expansion tank? Yeah, I could. But you can't buy these new. There's no new old stock. There are some second-hand ones. They very clearly have an issue with their plastic, not necessarily freezing temperatures, but we're going to have a look over this one. So there are 3 areas of concern. This is the first one. Can I feel it? Yep. Can you see it? Yeah, but it just feels like a weird anomaly in the plastic. There's the second one. Right, can you feel that one? Yep. Definitely. Can you get your nail in it? No. So we have this crack here. This crack here. Could be age related. And then we have this crack here. And I can put my nail in that one. Does it hold air? Under blow pressure. I have no idea how many bar that is. Yes. Under 4 bar? Absolutely, definitely not. So, will this water system have 4 bar pressure in it? No, never. What am I going to do about that? Well, I've got some extra plastic there. So I've scraped that off the side there. A bit like when you need extra bone and they take it from your hip and stick it in your face. Kind of like that. And then I've got soldering iron, which I've cleaned up. It's got a nice flat bit on it. Have I done this before? Yep. I've melted things together before with soldering irons. Has it ever worked? No. In fact, I was watching somebody's dad the other day, right, tried to fix a plastic radiator by melting tie wraps into it. Right. Some of you there in England would have seen that very thing. And I was thinking as he's doing it, well, that's never worked for me, so it's unlikely it's going to work for him. Did it work? No, it didn't. Anyway, I'm not sure what we're into yet or how this plastic melts. Now, my brother did tell me to find out what kind of plastic it was. Yeah, it's white, clear, and it melts under heat. Okay. How does it react? Okay, well, we might be able to do something with that. Alright, let's do the worst one first then and see exactly what we're going to do here. Obviously, I've left my pairs of glasses everywhere. They're just scattered about instead of being in one plate. No, they ain't strong enough. Come on, Simon, you just need a pair of glasses. Any pair of glasses, as long as you can see. As long as you can see better than you could, right? I don't think that one. Right, well, it'll remain to be seen whether that works or not. But I'm going to go and fit this now. Okay, well that's interesting in itself. Right, that goes in there. Okay, and that's the electrical connection. Those two pipes go on there. But where's this pipe? What goes underneath there? Isn't that... Oh, I've just seen that crack on there. That's an even bigger one. Isn't that the expansion? That pipe comes out of there, right? Oh, no! Okay, what an idiot. So, that's the expansion overflow. Right, there's nothing to do with that or that. There's no pipe attached on that, and there has been no pipe attached on that because there's overspray. Well, when the water comes up through here, it stays within this housing, but it pushes this valve, right, and there is a second chamber here that then flows out of there. So, whilst when I was filling this, right, no water actually spilt over, I was pouring it in there. If I'd been pouring it down the side there, it would have run straight out the bottom. Because of where this sits, it actually runs down the back of the engine, making me think one of the hoses was split at the back, which has been my problem all the way along. And where what probably happened was I caused that water leak by not pouring in that hole, but by pouring here genuinely. And all the water was lost out of that system by that bottom radiator hose, which incidentally still doesn't fit properly. Tell you, that's where I am with that. Right, that's the water system back together. So what I need is 530 oil for the engine, G12 for the coolant system, mineral hydraulic oil, got that. Transmission, I have no idea how you check the transmission fluid on this, not even a clue. I'm used to a second dipstick being here, you know, so that you can have a look. Anyway, there isn't one of those, so I've got to work that one out. When I need to top off the transmission fluid, change the transmission fluid, whatever we got to do with the transmission fluid. And then I think we get ready to go. But I can't believe all this time I've been so concerned about burst pipe down the back, and I was pouring water over that second lip and it's just running out the expansion. Really? On that note, I think that'll do. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.